How about that? And indications also that Silicon Valley will probably do better than most. So we had actually a tale of 2 quarters, according to Ruth Porat, the CFO of Alphabet, who I spoke to after the earnings release. And she says January and February strong. And that March, of course, when things fell off a cliff because of coronavirus spread around the world. But still, you saw some strong increases in cloud of 52%. YouTube was up 33% in sales, and even search saw gains. And also April is stabilizing, and they're still returning cash to shareholders. You know, big banks, Chevron, AT&T, Intel have had to shelve their share repurchases. Not the case for Alphabet. When you have $100 billion on the balance sheet, you can afford to continue buying $21 billion in your stock. By the way, also a big feature on the earnings call, Google Meet, which is their answer to Zoom. We'll be speaking to the head of Google Meet a little bit later on today because they're making it free for everybody.
Oh, that's good news.
Call last night from Sundar Pichai, the CEO of Alphabet. Very exciting, given that Google Meet is signing up 3 million daily, each and every day. Up to 16 participants now can join each and every call, and you have 30 times increases in usage because of COVID-19. And as you mentioned, even better, it's all free starting today. So let's bring in Javier Soltero, Vice President of Google's G Suite, who oversees G Meet. And it's great to have you, Javier. Very exciting. So this has been around since 2017. I guess the obvious question is, how did you cede the lead to Zoom?
Well, you know, we've been bringing this product to millions of business customers now since 2017. And the growth that we've seen over the last, probably the last 3 months, has been incredible in response to all these companies kind of moving their workforces to working from home and being distributed. And so we've really been investing heavily in making the product even better. And now, as you said, we're making the product available to everyone.
Up to 16 participants, but Zoom allows for up to close to 50. So I assume you're going to keep improving this product, right, to make it more user-friendly?
Well, yeah, actually, and the 16 participants is the ones that you can see on the screen at the same time. We support up to 250 participants on any given call. So this is more about like what we affectionately refer to as the Brady Bunch view for how many people you can see on the screen.
Javier, I spoke to Ruth Porat, CFO of Alphabet, yesterday and asked her about demand going forward, especially in coronavirus. Given that you oversee G Suite, I'm just wondering if you've seen maybe some of your clients and customers saying, I need to preserve cash in these times and I need to cut some of my spending. Have you seen any contracts cut?
Well, listen, what we've seen actually is a lot of people coming to us saying, hey, we're glad to have switched to G Suite prior to coronavirus, you know, imposing all these different restrictions on business operations. The ability for our products to help them transform and adapt to a very, very unexpected and challenging scenario is something we're very proud of. And we're also seeing, frankly, a whole bunch of new customers coming to us saying, hey, we heard you're really good at this. We'd love your help. Can you help us actually transform our workplace? We really need it now, and we have an opportunity to change the way we work for the future.
Well, Javier, if you've got all these new people coming to you, will you be taking their information and using their information?
Absolutely not. So actually, one of the important things to highlight about Google Cloud and G Suite specifically is that we use no information for advertising for any purposes. This is corporate data. This is data that belongs to the users, to the people and companies that are actually transacting over our services. So absolutely not.
Javier Soltero, you realize that you're killing Zoom. Its stock is down very significantly this morning, down 6.5%. And you're probably going to have a negative impact on business travel. But it was great having you on the show. We're very thankful to have you here. And please come again soon. Javier Soltero. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Susan.
Yeah, Susan, thanks for your help on that one. He helped to straighten me out on this.
$100 billion for 6 months. Elon Musk, the founder and CEO of Tesla, gets a $720 million payday. He gets to sell his shares that he bought at a cheaper price on the market. And also, by the way, I think more importantly for the stock, which will report earnings after the bell today, is that if it has 4 quarters of consecutive profit, it also gets included in the S&P 500. So we're trading at close to $800 levels. I think that's pretty much priced in because when you are included in the S&P, that means index funds have to include you in their funds as well. So they have to buy the stock, and that means the price goes up. But if you think about Elon Musk, does he really need $720 million, Stu? I mean, the man is already worth $40 billion, but he really wants to get back to work since Fremont has
Susan,
been closed.
I'm shocked. Susan Lee, I am shocked. You're sounding like Bernie Sanders.
Oh,
Does
stop.
he really need $100 million? Well, come on.
Okay, well, okay, whatever you can earn, good
it.
for you. But I would say Tesla needs to prove that it can deliver cars later on today and guiding for 75,000 in the second quarter. Let's get back to business. Prove that you are worth $40 billion. How about that?
He is worth $40 billion. That's proof. And look, let's not get into it, but don't bring socialism onto this program.
Oh, would you? Okay, well, what about sales then? You're only at 10% of Ford and GM, yet the stock is worth 3 times GM and Ford combined. So is that market distortion then? What is that?
No, I have no idea, Susan. I don't get into that. I should
Hard to
stay the
argue
night
with
in
you.
the Holiday Inn Express. That might sort me out. Now then,
Results from a U.S. clinical phase that showed a shorter-term treatment with remdesivir actually yielded some positive results. Not the case, though, just being reported by the Lancet, which is a medical journal, and they're reporting this random double-blind placebo-controlled study in China hospitals, 10 Chinese hospitals, and the results remdesivir did not speed up the recovery and decrease deaths from COVID-19 versus the placebo, and the adverse events being reported in 66% of these remdesivir recipients was pretty severe. 66% exhibited adverse effects from taking remdesivir. Now, we've seen this before. Remember, Stu, last week we also had this report being posted by the WHO of a China study that also showed some disappointment with remdesivir and Gilead. They had to withdraw that because remdesivir and Gilead said that this is not true. You didn't even have enough participants in this study. So I think the market's taking this in stride. As you see, we're still up some 2%, right?
well, I'd just like to see what...
So head of AMC Theaters, which is the largest cinema chain in the U.S., says we will no longer screen any films made by Universal, which is under the NBC Universal's umbrella. And yes, this goes back to Trolls World Tour. We had NBC Universal's new chairman and CEO, Jeff Shell, giving an interview to the Wall Street Journal. And because of the success of Trolls Online, he says in the future, we expect to release movies on both formats, meaning the big screen and then also on streaming as well. And this, according to AMC CEO, is not in line with their business model because, there's a thing called theatrical window, meaning usually what happens is that movies are released on the big screen and then it goes on to streaming. So you get the big tickets or the big ticket numbers buying, I guess, cinema tickets, and then you get the digital sales. But in the future, if you're going to have both, I guess AMC's business model is obviously under threat, right?
Yeah, I can see that. Yeah, I mean, how and when and in what way are they ever going to open again? I mean, a lot of pressure right there, that's for sure. Will you go to a movie again anytime soon, Susan?
It depends on what movie, but to be honest, I get really scared now sitting in those seats and, with the sticky bubble gum on the floor and the popcorn everywhere. I never liked it, but it's even worse now, I would say.
They'll clean it up. Believe they will clean that up, that's for sure.
Home sales are looked at as a leading indicator on the health of the housing market because these are sales that haven't closed yet, so it's not part of the existing home sales portion. And it's not a good number, by the way, in the month of March. We're down 20.8%. We are up 2.4% in the month of February. So month on month, this is obviously a drop off a cliff. And this is coming out after 2 months of consecutive gains. But I do have some good news for mortgage applications if you want to ask me that.
Well, what news do you have on mortgage applications?
Well, look, they're actually up. So it's a strong recovery for mortgage applications as rates hit a record low. So we saw 3.43% for the average 30-year fix. And so mortgage applications were up 12% from the weekend. Refis are down. So there are indications that with lower interest rates that people might be looking at buying homes once again.
Yeah, well, looking to the future.
400 jobs might be going out of their 27,000 around the world. Also news that their chief technology officer, the last executive that was hired under founder Travis Kalanick before he was kicked out, has tendered his resignation. He resigned back in the middle of March. So I think the concerns are about ride hailing, obviously, given the coronavirus and the shelter-in-place orders across the country and really around the world. It looks like in some markets, ride hailing is down at least 80%, and the pickup in Uber Eats in meal delivery is not making up for it. Last count, some outlets were reporting a jump in food delivery by just maybe 50% or so.
Here we sit, Susan, celebrating the stocks comeback. It's up 5% today. But what we're really talking...
And I am excited about going back to work.
This guy right here is the biggest star in the room.
What do you got?
I was just crying through it because my brother suffers from cerebral palsy, so I understand. And, I obviously have to give high marks to people like the owner of that cafe and obviously for the PPP to be able to save these jobs. So I'm sorry I'm a little shaken here, but it's a great story.
It is a great story, and you're entitled